Welcome to another transformative episode of Heal Your Past, Master Your Future. I'm Tracy Malone, your host and a certified holistic counsellor and coach. Today we dive deep into exploring one of the most common wounds that every human carries, the abandonment wound. Throughout our lives, many of us have experienced situations that created this wound, even though we may not be consciously aware of it. And remember the Jung quote, until we make the unconscious conscious, it runs our life and we call it fate, or the universe, to update the quote. It can come from the loss of a loved one to any emotionally invalidating experience, such as being ignored or not being believed when we needed support. These moments have a profound impact on our psyche. And the abandonment wound can manifest in many ways in our lives as an adult. I'm going to go through a few of them now. So this podcast is about making the unconscious conscious. So I want you to see if you can relate to any of these moments in your life. Have you ever stayed in a relationship or a job or a friendship for too long when you know it's not great for you? You continually understand that you don't feel good when you're around this person. They're probably sucking the life out of you and you're not happy. But leaving and ending the relationship is more painful for you than staying. That is your abandonment wound. Do you feel like you have an inability to receive love? Even if you meet the perfect partner, as in you consciously choose the partner, not the wounded part of you on the bus is choosing the partner, you would find them boring or not right for you because of your inability to receive safe love. It's really important to remember that when your unconscious and wounded part of you is driving the bus, your unconscious wounded part of you when you're 2 does not know that being abandoned is actually dysfunctional love, and we should be moving away from that and moving towards safe and secure love. Your wounded 2-year-old just thinks that that's what love looks like. And if that 2-year-old is driving the bus and they see somebody who could actually give you safe and secure, beautiful love, they would go, boring, that is not love. I cannot do that. I need the challenge over here of this kind of relationship. Is this kind of ringing bells for anyone? I'm going to keep going through these things and I'm going to keep giving you examples of how this shows up in your life now. Because this is where we are living life unconsciously, but we think we're living consciously. This is what I mean by, I wondered myself, how much of my life is a trauma response? How much of my life am I unconsciously choosing this decision, this path in my life because of the wounds I have in my childhood? Because my adult self knows how to make one decision, but if my wounded child's in the driver's seat, they're making another one. This is profound if you can get it, yeah? Have you ever noticed that love means drama and pain? Because you were emotionally abandoned, or you had an angry parent, which is actually a form of abandonment, being pushed away by anger and having no one to help you feel safe. So if you find yourself in relationships where it's drama, and if it wasn't, then you'd be waiting for the drama to happen. When things are good and you're like, oh my God, things are so good right now, something bad's got to happen. Yeah? Who's driving the bus then? That's your abandonment wound speaking. Another example, because love has not been safe for you, as I said before, when you finally allow it in your life, you try to control it, especially if you had a parent who was angry. This is the wound behind women trying to parent their man, yeah? That's when women say, you've got 3 children, but the women say, I've got 4 children, because they attribute their husband or partner to being a child as well. This is where that stems from. It is a trauma response, people. Men are angry and they're not safe. So we can't allow them to have any control in our relationship. This can go the other way. I'm just saying it because I'm a woman, so speaking from my point of view. When men are angry and not safe, we can't allow them to have any control in our lives and the relationship when it comes to love. So we keep him small, we keep his wounded child in the bus, and we parent him because it's safer for us than it is dealing with the angry man when he gets in the driver's seat. That's how your unconscious abandonment wound is driving the bus in your life. Another example, when you try to hold on to love and you don't allow it to come and go. When you get really needy, when you believe love is a finite resource and it can actually be taken away from you at any time. And you believe, this is a big one, if you believe you have to earn love, then love is a currency for you, something that you need in order to be good enough. If I do this, then they'll love me, then I'll be good enough. Yeah? And if someone threatens to take their love away from you, then this will trigger you enormously. Say hello to why women stay in abusive relationships. Say hello to what is triggered in narcissistically abusive relationships and why people cannot leave. That is kind of the core to every narcissistically abusive relationship right there, that example I just used. Another example, being left emotionally or physically by someone who is meant to stick by you as a kid leaves a really large wound. So every time thereafter that you get close to someone, your nervous system will actually enter a threat state. Yeah, you would think you've finally found someone, they're safe and secure, I should rest and feel safe and secure. But you enter a threat state, yeah? Because you believe this wounded part of you knows that people we love leave us. Yeah, so this means you'll sabotage the relationship somehow. You'll hold on too tight, you'll become really needy, or you'll push people away. You'll do something to make the other person leave you first. Or you'll just end it for no reason and leave before they can leave you. I hope this is dropping in for you. And it's really important to know, if this has triggered you in any way, I'll get to the resources at the end, but know you've got support in the world, yeah? Just keep breathing. And keep loving that little wounded part of you. Just hold them close. If you need to hug a pillow while you're listening, that's what I do when I've been triggered and I want to hug my beautiful little inner child and help her to feel safe and loved. Okay, the next example. When you put everyone's needs before your own, that is accepted by society. Yeah, this is what I mean by I used to think that my trauma response was me acting consciously. It wasn't, but it was celebrated by society. You're so selfless, Tracy. You do so much for others. Doesn't matter that it exhausts me, yeah? When you put everyone's needs before your own, it is your trauma response from no one being there for you when you were a child. Cue the most of my life. This is the tape I ran. This is the part of me that was driving the bus for most of my life. So as an adult, you make sure everyone around you feels okay, as you know exactly what it's like to not feel okay and to be abandoned by those who are supposed to love you and who you don't want that to happen to anyone in your presence. So you go about making sure everyone around you is okay. This is our trauma response. And it also keeps us from ever having to deal with our own pain. If we're out there fixing other people, we never have to stop and feel our own pain. Yeah, and that's a difference between me doing my job as a trauma response, which is when I first learned this work and started this work 15 years ago. That's where I was functioning from. Then when I was able to heal my own wounds right at the core, I'm now able to do this from a very, very different place. And that's what's on offer to you as well if you choose to heal this wound. So that leads straight into another example of overgiving to everyone at a sacrifice to yourself. Yeah, you know how you say yes to people and then you regret it later? It's all your abandonment wound. Feeling exhausted from doing too much. People pleasing, huge one. Finding it difficult to say no, like I said, saying yes and then regretting it later. I want to touch a little bit on business owners as well, because this is really important for you to understand how it shows up in your business and the way you run your business. And it might make sense to why most businesses fold in 3 years and the rest, 80% are done by 5 years or something like that. This is what's running the business. Undercharging in your business, that's a huge one for the abandonment wound, yeah? Doing swaps for your services instead of receiving money. You are constantly going, well, if they can't afford it, they'll leave and I need them to stay. I'd rather them to stay than feel the pain of them leaving, so I will make sure they're okay. And it doesn't matter about the business. Overgiving, discounting, and undercharging to those who have an emotional connection to you as a form of staying safe, yeah? So when you have an emotional connection to someone and you don't charge friends and family. Friends and family should be paying for your business services because they're the ones who should be supporting you the most and should have value over your time and your skill and all the years you've put into what you've been doing. That is a unconscious trauma response from our abandonment wound. If you are basing your pricing on what others can afford instead of the transformations that you provide, that is an abandonment wound. If you can easily spend your hard-earned money that you get from your business on others but not on yourself, that's a big one. Paying money on endless coaching and courses, believing that someone is going to save you, rather than understanding that they are offering you tools and you are here to save yourself. I have paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to other coaches, believing that they've got a magic bullet to fix and save me really quickly. And I was wrong. And then I learned myself going through this process. I was like, how on earth do I do this? And I went deeper into my own training and I developed the things that I'd learned and took them further and deeper for myself. And that's how I changed everything in my life. When you need to do a sale in your business and you avoid asking for the sale so as not to upset the person, what if they can't afford it? What if they think it's too expensive? I won't ask for the sale. I'll just not post about that at all or not speak about it at all. Yeah, so someone's social media who's all kind of fluffy content and never asking for the sale, that's the abandonment wound. Attracting or activating very toxic and negative people in your life or your business. That is the abandonment wound. We'd rather have this toxic stuff because it keeps us connected to someone. Someone's better than anyone. Yeah. Free sessions for testimonials. You hire family and friends, but you don't have a contract or you can't keep them. You struggle to maintain performance of your staff due to not wanting to upset them. That's a huge one. Finding it difficult to have conversations about your needs or be vulnerable with others. That's a huge one. And that's business and personal. You're starting to understand now how the abandonment wound is actually affecting your life. Remember the Jung quote, until we make the unconscious conscious, it runs our life and we call it fate. So if you're having aha moments right now, it's not a negative thing. Don't shame yourself and go, oh my God, you idiot, I've been running from this abandonment wound. No, celebrate the fact that you're now conscious of it. Conscious awareness is this first level of healing, becoming aware of, oh my God, this is what's going on. So as you're listening to these, if any of these have landed for you, I want you to celebrate yourself. I don't want you to beat yourself up because you've already been beaten up, which is why it's been unconsciously driving your life and driving the bus for all of this time. Beating it up is what created the wound in the first place. What you need now is self-care, self-compassion, and self-love. What you also need is boundaries. Yeah? I used to teach people boundaries before I went deep into my own abandonment wound. And what I realized was people didn't need to learn how to set boundaries. They needed to heal their abandonment wound. And then it was really easy and natural for them to set boundaries. So that's another one when people say, I really don't have good boundaries. That is why it's the abandonment wound. If you have any fear that you will lose your partner, your job, your money, your friend, your child, that's your abandonment wound. Things leave me. Everything's going to leave me. I'm not safe in this world. Because you weren't given that feeling of safety when you needed it, when you were little. And that little part of you is in the driver's seat. And that little part of you is going, nope, we're not safe to do this in this world. Another way it can show up in your life, taking it personally when a client or friend doesn't commit to their desired result. So somebody says, I'm going to go and do this, and they don't do it. And you really want to hold them to it and tell them about it. That's actually, funnily enough, your abandonment wound. Feeling resentful of people who won't acknowledge all that you do for them. Yeah? I do this and I do that and I do this, and they didn't even say thank you. They didn't even acknowledge it, and they didn't. What that is your abandonment wound. You're feeling resentful because you were actually, what's driving you is the little wounded child is looking for praise. You weren't doing it just because it was something you wanted to do or you wanted to do it nice for somebody else. You actually had a hidden agenda, an unconscious agenda. Again, we don't do shame. I couldn't even tell you the amount of times I've done it because I've done that so many times in my past life, my younger self. The amount of times I would do things and I was doing it all for praise because I just didn't get it. I was abandoned from that. I was never told well done. I was never told I love you. So I went seeking that in the world from people outside of me. It's a huge one. When I was talking about boundaries before, another way that your abandonment wound can show up is you're massively triggered by other people having boundaries and not taking no for an answer. It's a huge one. Yeah, when people have boundaries, when people are coming in for a sale or doing something like that and you get really triggered by it, it's like, how dare they have that? They're not allowed to have that. That's because it's what you didn't have and what you don't have. And that's because of what happened in the abandonment wound when you were younger. And if you have a business and you're not paying yourself, that's a really big one for the abandonment wound as well. There's another one, the sister wound. Never feeling like you belong in groups. You know how you are like, I am in a full group of people and I've never felt so alone in my life. It's got nothing to do with the other people in the room. It's got to do with the wound that happened to you during childhood. I did a lot of work around that. That one is definitely the abandonment wound as a core wound, but there's another core wound, which I'm going to talk about in another podcast, around the being seen. That's a big one, around groups as well. But this one is also a part of the abandonment wound because some of our core wounds all kind of come at the same time and they all mesh together. And the reason we are talking about all these things, like I said, we're bringing them into your awareness. Because when they're in your awareness, they're no longer unconscious. Yeah, they're becoming conscious. And when they become conscious, it means we can start to deal with them. Because there is hope in this world. By acknowledging and healing our abandonment wounds, we can begin to shift our lives and businesses in a really empowering way. It's about reclaiming our power. Remember the podcast name, Heal Your Past, Master Your Future. It's about stepping into your power. I used to hear people say all the time when coaches go, step into your power, and I'd do their course. I'm like, nope, I don't feel powerful. It's because they don't have this component. Great coaches who are able to take you to where it is you want to go know how to heal the blocks, know how to heal what it is that's stopping you from going there. It is about reclaiming your power. And being in your power means living consciously, learning to set healthy boundaries, and allowing yourself to receive love and support. Yeah? If any of this resonates with you, any of these signs and things have dropped in, and you would actually like further support, I invite you to visit my website, tracymalone.com.au. Reach out. Yeah, if you need support, reach out. Remember that healing your abandonment wound is the key to mastering your future and creating a life filled with joy, purpose, and fulfillment, because you're doing it consciously. Embrace this amazing transformative process, and together we'll uncover the power within you to heal and thrive.